Welcome back to MTG Burgeoning, your channel for all things magic. In today's video, we are going to add the next 10 cards to our Momir Vig Cube with a CMC of 8 or greater. What's up, MTG BC, baby? That is the MTG Burgeoning community. Here we are with another installment of our Momir Vig Cube series. We keep inching closer and closer to the completion of our 1,500 card Momir Vig Cube. If you are unfamiliar with this series or just want a refresher, search in the description below for the link to MTG Burgeoning's Momir Vig Cube introduction. After that, you can also click the link to Cube Cobra and you can see the entirety of the cube as it stands right now. All right, with all of the talk now out of the way, let's take a look at the next 10 creature cards to be added to our Momir Vig Cube with a converted mana cost of 8 or greater. The first addition is Axelrod Gunnarsson, a 5/5 trampler. Whenever a creature damaged by Axelrod Gunnarsson dies, we gain 1 life and we deal 1 damage to target player. Under the right set of favorable circumstances, Axelrod could prove to be a win condition because in a format that is governed by combat as its primary and really only path to victory, the ability to have chump blockers gain us a life and deal an additional damage to any player we choose could prove to be overwhelming to our opponents. Axelrod Gunnarsson is creature number 1 of this video. Number 2, and with a CMC of 8, it's mono red, we have Bearer of the Heavens, a 10/10. When it dies, destroy all permanents at the beginning of the next end step. One of the themes that's woven into this Momir Vig Cube is that not every creature is going to be super useful or even helpful. For all intents and purposes, this could be construed as a let's start the game over card. All right, next up we have creature number 3. It's a mono blue creature. It is the benthic behemoth, a 7/6 with island walk. Now, I know I've also been preaching to the MTGBC, make sure that your land, your basic land decks have as many different lands as possible. However, if you're an opponent and you have an island in play and someone summons benthic behemoth, they're going to walk all over you for 7 points of damage every single time they turn it sideways. All right, creature number 4, a mono white edition, and one of the creatures with the converted mana cost greater than 8. Remember, in this particular Momir Vig Cube, once you summon a creature at 8, there is no other creature you can summon greater than the mana you invest, which means if you invest 8 mana, you have about a 1 in 3 chance of summoning a creature with a converted mana cost higher than 8 mana. If you decide for some foolish reason to spend 7 mana, there is absolutely no guarantee that you're going to get a creature with a CMC of 9 because that's just going to come from the tier of 8 CMC plus. So you do that at your own risk. I'll just float in the 8 mana. So 1 of 3 chance of getting a creature with a CMC greater than 8. Here is one of them. It's mono white. It is the Blazing Archon, a 5/6 flyer that says creatures can't attack you. In a format, like I said earlier in this video on TGBC, in a format where attacking is paramount and the only path to victory, pretty much taking that ability away from all of your opponents pretty much singles the end of the game with no instant or sorcery spells available and the only removal coming in the form of activated abilities or enter the battlefield triggers of creatures. Any player that's fortunate enough to summon Blazing Archon to their side of the battlefield for the investment of 8 mana most likely wins that game. All right, hitting the halfway point of this video, creature number 5, our first colorless creature to be included in this video, and also one of the creatures with a converted mana cost greater than 8. And let's be honest, for the purposes of what we said about Blazing Archon, it could be very likely that any player that summons this creature to the battlefield, it's most likely only a matter of time until that player becomes triumphant. Creature number 5 with a CMC of 12 that you could summon to your side of the battlefield for an investment of 8 mana is the Blightsteel Colossus. 11/11, trample, infect, indestructible. If it were to die, for the purposes of this variant, it ceases to exist. It does not get shuffled into our library because in Momir Vig, the creature that you summon from the cube is a token copy of the creature, and once a token leaves the battlefield, it ceases to exist. However, what you're left with, let's face it, you're investing 8 mana, and if you're fortunate to summon a Blightsteel Colossus, you have an 11/11 trampling, infecting, indestructible golem that most likely signals lights out for the rest of the table. All right, moving forward, our next half begins with another mono red edition, and this time it's the Bloodfire Colossus. This is a CMC of 8. It's a 6/6 giant. We can pay a red mana and sacrifice Bloodfire Colossus, and it deals 6 damage to each creature and each player. So this is pretty much an inferno on a stick, folks. This can wipe the board. This can wipe out opponents. If we're not careful, it could wipe us out. Another mono red edition, another CMC of 8. We have the Bogerdan Hellkite. It's a 5/5 dragon with flying. We are going to ignore the flash mechanic here, because through Momir Vig, you summon your creatures once per turn at sorcery speed. And again, everything is completely randomized, so flash is meaningless when it comes to Momir Vig. When Bogerdan Hellkite ETBs, it deals 5 damage among any number of targets. So this is as close to some spot damage removal that we're going to get in this cube. If you're fortunate enough to summon a copy of Bogerdan Hellkite, then you have the divine pleasure of spreading around 5 points of damage the best you see fit. And what you're left with is a 5/5 flyer that can definitely send itself into combat with that oh-so-coveted evasion. All right, we are 7 creatures up. We got 3 left, and each one of the 3 remaining all have a CMC of 8. Next, we have our second multicolored creature to talk about, and that is Borborygmus Enraged. It's a 7/6 trampler. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, we reveal the top 3 cards of our library. We put all lands revealed this way into our hand and the rest into our graveyard. For the purposes of this format, because our deck, our library is comprised of all lands, what this really is saying is that whenever Borborygmus deals combat damage to a player, put the top 3 cards of your library into your hand. We can also discard a land card, and Borborygmus Enrage deals 3 damage to target creature or player. This format is perfectly suited for Borborygmus Enraged. As long as we can turn him sideways and hit for some combat damage, we can get those lands into our hand, and then we have 3 lightning bolts that we can use at any time at instant speed. 2 creatures left, and the next is our second colorless creature of this video. It is Bosch Iron Golem, a 6/7 trampling golem with a CMC of 8. We can pay 3 in a red to sacrifice an artifact, and Bosch deals damage equal to the sacrificed artifact's converted mana cost to any target. Now, a couple of caveats with this creature. It is not a guarantee that you will have any other artifact creatures on your side of the battlefield, simply because there are no other artifacts outside of creatures included in the Momir Vig Cube. There are no artifacts, there are no instants, there are no sorceries. It's all creatures. So maybe you're beneficial, maybe you're fortunate, maybe you have all of the stars aligned to get multiple artifact creatures on the battlefield under your control. That's caveat number 1. Caveat number 2, do you have mountains in your basic land deck? Because you need to pay 3 in a red to sacrifice that artifact to enable Bosch's direct damage. And if you have both of those caveats filled, or maybe you don't even have the first one, but you have the second one, you do have the benefit of sacrificing Bosch to himself. You pay 3, you pay a red, you sacrifice Bosch, and you're dealing 6 damage. I'm sorry, you're dealing 8 damage to any target. That, in and of itself, even without the prospect of attacking with a 6/7 trampler, just paying 3 in a red to deal 8 damage to any target, that may prove to be overwhelming to one of your opponents. All right, and the last creature to be added in this video, we have creature number 10 of 10 of CMC 8 or greater. It is mono black. It has a CMC of 8. It is the Avatar of Woe. It is a 6/5. We're going to ignore the, if there are 10 or more creature cards total in all graveyards, this costs 6 less to play. Lots of reasons we're ignoring it. There are no creatures in the graveyards, only lands. Plus, there are no cost reductions when it comes to the Momir Vig Cube. Avatar of Woe can't be blocked except by artifact creatures or black creatures. That means she has fear, folks. She has fear, she has evasion, she's 6/5. But more importantly, you can turn her sideways to destroy target creature. It can't be regenerated. You have to love the fact that Avatar of Woe can destroy any creature outside of protection, of course, or indestructible. It doesn't say destroy target non-black creature, plus it can't be regenerated. So even without the threat of sending a 6/5 fear into combat, we can just sit back and end of turn pop any creature on the battlefield that's under our opponent's controls that is proving to be most problematic or troublesome. Avatar of Woe may be one of the most valuable 8+ drop cards in the Momir Vig Cube. And there we have it, MTG BC, the next 10 cards added to our Momir Vig Cube, including the Big Daddy Blightsteel Colossus. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. This is MTG Burgeoning, your channel for all things Magic.